Hi, I'm here to share the summary of the King Lear written by William Shakespeare. King Lear is a tragedy. It consists of 5 acts. It is written by William Shakespeare. It was written in 1605 to 1606 and published in 1608. Basically, tragedy is a play with a sad ending. The main character often has a flaw in their characters, such as pride, jealousy, which causes them to suffer. The main five great tragedies of William Shakespeare are Romeo Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. So I'm here to narrate the play of King Lear, written by William Shakespeare. Next, characters. The first character is King Lear. King Lear is a king of Britain and tragic hero of the play. Lear, who is used to complete obedience from everyone around him. He makes two related major errors: giving up of political responsibility by transferring his power to his daughters, and trusting the flattering Goneril and Regan over the plain spokens, but true Cordelia. So, despite his flaws, he is able to maintain the loyalty of certain subjects, particularly Kent and Gloucester. These will not be enough to save him from madness and death. Next character, Cordelia. Cordelia is Lear's youngest daughter, whom he disowns when she refused to flatter him, has assisted you during the ceremony in which he hands over power. The next character is Goneril. Goneril is Lear's older daughter, who is the first to flatter him in the power transfer ceremony and the first to insult him afterwards, throwing him and his knights out of her house. Regan is the second daughter of King Lear. Next, Edmund. Edmund is Gloucester's younger, illegitimate son. Edmund resents the fact that the accident of his birth has deprived him of legal status. Next, Edgar. Edgar is Gloucester's elder, legitimate son. Although at first Edgar come across as a bit naive, easily dumped by Edmund, he later disguised himself successfully as a madman beggar, and manages not only to save himself from the death sentence his misled father has pronounced on him, but also to help Gloucester and Lear and to avenge the wrongs committed by his traitorous half-brother. Next character, Kent. Kent is a nobleman of the same rank as Gloucester, banished by Lear in the first scene when he attempts to intercede with the king on Cordelia's behalf. Next character, Fool. Fool is Lear's jester, who accompanies him through much of the play. Although his statements come out as a riddle, the fool offers insight into Lear's mistake and their consequences. Next character, Albany. The husband of Lear's older daughter Goneril and Duke. Albany is kind and generous in contrast to his malicious wife and criticizes her for her treacherous behavior towards her father. Next character, France. France is the husband of Cordelia. France is a benevolent character who takes Cordelia as his wife without a dowry. Next character, Gloucester. Gloucester is an earl or nobleman who is loyal to Lear and similar to him in many ways like Lear. Next character, Cornwall. Cornwall is the husband of Lear's middle daughter Regan, and just as vicious as she is. He disrespects Lear by putting his man Kent in the stocks and later violently blinds Gloucester. Next character, Oswald. Goneril's steward or chief servant. Oswald's blind obedience to the evil Goneril earns him contempt from the good characters Kent and Edgar, and eventually cost him his life. Next, moving on to the summary. Basically it is a tragedy play. The first scene begins with the King Lear. King Lear intends to divide his kingdom among his 3 daughters so that he can enjoy old age without the burden of power. He has planned a ceremony in which each daughter will state how much she loves him before an audience of nobles, including Lear, long-trusted advisor Kent, the Earl of Gloucester, and two suitors of his youngest daughter's hand, Burgundy and France. During the ceremony, his elder daughter Goneril and Regan each professed to love Lear more than anything in the world. However, his youngest daughter Cordelia refuses to play along. When her turn comes, she says that she loved Lear no more, no less than she should as a daughter. Enraged, Lear strips her of her dowry and banishes Kent when the latter attempts to intercede on Cordelia's behalf. Franz says he will marry Cordelia even without a dowry. Lear then tells the gathered nobles that he will keep 100 knights and alternate month living with Goneril and her husband Albany, and Regan and her husband Cornwall. The next scene begins with Gloucester's castle. Edmund's conspiracy moves along after Edmund tricks Edgar into fleeing. Gloucester, convinced of Edgar's evil intention, condemned him to death, declaring Edmund is a legitimate heir. Cornwall and Regan arrive at Gloucester Castle and welcome Edmund into their services. Outside, Kent and Oswald arrive with letters for Regan from Lear and Goneril. Kent insults Oswald and challenges him to fight. Roused by the disturbance, Cornwall puts Kent into stocks, even though such as an action is disrespectful to Lear. Next, Edgar disguises himself as a mad beggar, as poor Tom, in order to escape the death sentence declared by his father. Lear himself arrives at Gloucester Castle. Upset to find his man Kent in the stocks, he grows increasingly angry when Cornwall and Regan refuses to see him. Shortly after Regan finally comes out, Goneril arrives. Lear quarrels bitterly with both, as Regan joins Goneril in claiming that Lear does not need to maintain any attendance of his own, when each says that he may stay with them only if he dismisses all of his knights. Lear rushes mad with rage into brewing storms. Cornwall, Regan, and Goneril lock up Gloucester Castle to keep Lear out. During the French camp, Kent and gentleman discuss Cordelia's love of Lear, which has brought her back to Britain at the head of an invading French army. Kent reports that Lear himself in a Dover, and although he has spells of sanity, he is too ashamed to see Cordelia. Cordelia herself sent a search party after her father. Regan questions Oswald about Goneril and Edmund. She states her feeling that now she is a widow and she should marry Edmund, and asks Oswald to convince Goneril of the logic this. Finally, at her camp, at the start of the battle, Goneril argues with Albany. She tells herself that she should rather lose the war against the French than let Regan marry Edmund. Edgar, still disguised as a peasant, brings Goneril's letter to Edmund, describing her plot against Albany. To Albany then quickly leaves, with instructions that Albany must summon him, and 3 blows of trumpet after the battle with the French. However, Lear emerges from the prison with Cordelia's body in his hand, mad with grief. He explained that he killed the captain who hangs her, but was too late to save her life. Lear dies of his sorrow on the spot. Finally, only Albany and Edgar remains to pick up the pieces, as Kent concludes that he soon must follow his master. Example that he killed himself too. Finally, moving on to the major themes explored in the play King Lear. These are the major themes: justice, authority versus chaos, reconciliation, nihilism, and finally the unreliability of speech. The first theme is justice. The justice explored in the themes as a themes in the play. King Lear is a brutal play filled with the human cruelty and awful. The play's succession of terrible events raises an obvious question for the characters, namely, whether there is a possibility of justice in the world, or whether the world is fundamentally indifferent or even hostile to humankind. Various characters offer their opinions as flies to wanton boys or we to the gods. So Edgar on the other hand insists that the gods are just, believing that individuals can get what they deserve. But in the end, we are left with only terrifying uncertainty. So there is goodness in the world of play, but there is also madness and death. It is difficult to tell which triumphs in the end. The next theme is authority versus chaos. The failure of authority in the face of chaos recurs in Lear's wandering on the heat during the storm. Witnessing the powerful forces of the natural world, Lear comes to understand that he, like the rest of humankind, is insignificant in the world. This realization proves much more important than the realization of his loss of political control. So Lear hopes to be able to confront the chaos in the political realm of as well. The next theme is reconciliation. The reconciliation plays a vital role in the play King Lear. So during King Lear, maturation enables him to bring Cordelia back into his good grace as a testament to love's ability to flourish, even if only fleeing amid the horror and chaos that engulf the rest of the play. The next theme is nihilism. King Lear presents a bleak vision of a world without meaning. Lear begins the play valuing justice, the social order, and the valuing of kingship. But his values are undetermined by his experience. So, now where the King Lear suggests life offers meaning or the possibility of redemption, the play's tragic ending offers no lesson. So the next theme is the unreliability of speech. King Lear suggests that people's speeches and words are not always reliable and trustworthy. The tragic events of King Lear are set in motion because Lear believes that loving speeches Goneril and Regan make, even though they are obviously deceitful. So, these are the major themes explored in the play King Lear.